Hi everybody, Josh Byerly here inside Mission Control. I'm joined by Bill Bastedo, who is the launch package manager. 15 years ago today, the first pieces of the International Space Station were actually being assembled. Unity, which was the first U.S. piece, and Zarya, which was the first Russian piece, were actually being put together up in space. Of course, there was quite a bit more work to be done over the next several years to actually assemble the space station. But Bill, talk about your experiences back during those first few days of the International Space Station.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've always felt like I'm lucky to have the perspective that I did. I actually started on space station in 1984
Wow.
in Los Angeles with Rockwell during the Phase A and Phase B studies.
Yeah.
And then back then we were trying to figure out exactly how big to make it and what kind of payload range you wanted to accommodate. And then moved to Reston, Virginia, and was actually started up the space station integration contract when the program office was in Reston, and went through that and actually joined the civil service there.
Yeah.
Went to Kennedy as part of the management team of the payload directorate, helped open up the SSPF. At the same time, had some experience working with our Russian partners as they brought the docking module for the Mir space station through there, as well as working with them and getting the SSPF up and ready to go. And then I came here in 1996, the summer of '96, to be the launch package manager for 2A. So it's been fabulous to go from a position where we thought about how big to make it. In Reston, I was responsible for helping develop the assembly sequence. In Kennedy, doing some of the preparations so we could process things and get them to the launch pad. And then here to actually be responsible for leading a team that did everything to make the first piece real.
So we asked Bob Cabana, who was the commander of that mission, STS-88, the other day, and it seems like a simple question, but it's true. These pieces had never been on the same side of the planet, much less put together. Was there any nervousness about, we hope this works?
It's interesting the way it might be the way human nature works.
Yeah.
Is that we tried to do every test we could. We took emulators for the flight computers and hooked them up to the FGB and simulated that without actually bringing the two pieces together. We tested the interfaces, quite regularly and quite often, and we knew they worked. But once they're on orbit, the day you put them together and the day you turn the power across, there's a great big sigh of relief if the power's on and the computers came up.
Yeah. So, we were talking before we came on the air about this, and I think it's something that's interesting, but we always talk about how, we had to sort of learn to work with our international partners. First time we've ever done that, but you mentioned that it was actually more than that. There was some stuff internally with MOD and the shuttle program and things like that. Talk about that.
Sure. The launch package team was responsible for not only overseeing and integrating the design, development, and test of the hardware, but it's also leading the mission planning with the mission operations directorate and figuring out how to plan a space station assembly mission. We were the first team, and we had to go figure that together. And Bob Castle and Mark Kirisich and their team did a fabulous job with that from MOD. We also were the first space station payload through the shuttle program, and so we had to figure out how we were going to do it in a different way. We didn't have the same amount of time and preparation time that other payloads had.
Yeah.
And so Nat Hardy and his team with the shuttle program, we worked very closely with them to figure out how to do that. And then there were 1,000 other things that we figured out what we needed to do along the way. So it really was an interesting management challenge, as much as a technical challenge to get this ready.
Were there parts that were easier than you expected and parts that were harder?
Nothing was easy.
That's
The only thing, we were laughing about it a few years ago, some of us got together, and I think the only time we relaxed were the last couple days before launch, because the program leadership was in Russia. We were still here minding the store, and it was tucked away in the payload changeout room and then in the payload bay. So there really wasn't much for us to do.
Done at that point.
We were kind of done, and we had to wait until the next phase. So that might have been the only easy time we had.
Well, last question for you. I know that you're at Booz Allen Hamilton now. You're the senior vice president over there. Whenever you look at the station now, it's almost 1 million pounds. It's basically complete at this point. They're doing a lot of science. How does it make you feel to see it? It's finally finished.
I tell people every day, I think that that was probably the most gratifying professional experience of my life, is being part of space station in the very early days, kind of in the middle days where we were trying to figure out the hard problems, and then actually being part of the first element to be launched and helping start this really interesting project this really interesting, unbelievable outpost that's in space. It was the thing I remember most about doing it is how dedicated everybody was to doing it, and how much pride everybody felt in doing it together and getting it done right. And You know, I think everybody had this sense that not only were we building a space station, we were making the world a little bit better place. And making it smaller, having this place where all the countries in the world could work together. It was a fabulous experience.
And here we are.
And here we are 15 years later, and it's been a fabulous machine. It almost never breaks. It's extraordinarily reliable, extraordinarily useful, resilient. You know, being able to figure out how to man it and operate it after the accident and coming back. It's really been fabulous, and I think it's one of NASA's greatest achievements.
Well, Bill, thanks for stopping by. It's always good to talk to you.
Thank you. It's always great to talk about Space Station.
Thank you.